So Subriel Matias said something that's really true, um, that we cannot just look at and ignore. All right. I think I did this when I was dealing with a response to Blue Blood Sports TV. We found out that, the Latinos, the Mexican community, they're very loyal as a fan base to boxing. Very, very loyal as a fan base to boxing. Whereas you may find, people who are not Latinos, they're not as loyal to the sport of boxing and loyal to paying as paying customers, paying for the sport of boxing. They may talk about it and all of that, but they don't necessarily pay for the sport of boxing. All right. Now, having said that, I do agree with what Subriel Matias said to MillCity. And shout out to MillCity, by the way. However, I have to say that I also believe that there's more to it than that. Okay. Another thing that's important to understand is that Subriel Matias, in terms of lucrative fights, we've all sort of covered this already. But in terms of lucrative fights, Subriel Matias really, his big fight would be against Pitbull Cruz if he was to do a unification, right? So everybody kind of agrees with that. It's two Latinos. It's the ultimate with Latino grudge match: Mexico versus Puerto Rico. So everybody kind of agrees with that. Okay, fine. Now, with respect to something I want to show you guys. So what I do, what you need comes from facts. He tries to bring facts to the table. So I'm going to try and bring some facts to the table. Okay, Gervonta Tank Davis. Gervonta Tank Davis is known as a pay-per-view star, right? His first pay-per-view he had was against Leo Santa Cruz. That was in 2020, right? And it did 225,000 pay-per-view buys. Okay, which isn't bad. And then he had another fight against Mario Barrios, and that garnered 210,000 pay-per-view buys. And then he had a fight against Rolly Romero. It was very hyped up. Rolly Romero, hyping up the fight, promoting the fight, and that garnered 275,000 pay-per-view buys. That was the highest amount of pay-per-view buys Tank had gotten to that point on Showtime. Okay. And then Tank fought Hector Garcia, and that did 22,000 pay-per-view buys. Fine. Now, every single person that we see there, Garcia, Romero, Barrios, and Santa Cruz, they are all Latino. Right? They're all Latino. When Gervonta Tank Davis, however, faced Ryan Garcia, the pay-per-view buys went nuts. And for the first time in Tank's career, he broke the $1 million pay-per-view mark. It went 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. So by my boy Subriel Matias saying you need Latinos to skyrocket your pay-per-views, yes, you do, Subriel Matias. But there's another thing that's another factor that a lot of people are not talking about, which gets these big numbers, because Tank had repeatedly been fighting Latinos, right? Romero's a Latino, Barrios is a Latino, Santa Cruz is a Latino, Garcia is a Latino. That is Hector Garcia. Okay, they were all Latinos. But he couldn't break the 300,000 pay-per-view barrier. He couldn't. It took Ryan Garcia to cause his pay-per-view buys to skyrocket. Now, here's the thing that you guys need to understand. It's not just fighting Mexicans. And let me just say this so that people didn't know. Blue Blood Sports TV was bringing up a point, and I decided I would add to that point. So I did a video, Juneteenth and all of this stuff. Now, what I wanted to say was, you know, Blue Blood is saying that, we as a black community should be able to support our black fighters. But see, it has a lot to do with the culture that you come from. Latinos come from a culture where they love fighting. They really do. And a lot of Latinos grew up with fighting around them. Not only that, but as a sport, Latinos are dedicated to the sports of soccer, or what the world knows as football, and they're also dedicated. Next, right after that, is fighting, and particularly not just fighting, any kind of fighting, boxing. They have been very loyal to that sport. They are the major market for the sport. Okay? Families would get in front of their television screens to watch boxing. Latinos, the white community, the Caucasian community, don't so much invest into boxing anymore. I guess because they're not seeing people that represent them, I guess. And then the black community, you would think they would be more invested in the sport of boxing, but because the black community invested their black athletes in many other sports, you don't see a whole bunch of Latinos playing basketball. You don't in the NBA. You don't see a whole bunch of Latinos playing American football in the NFL. You don't see a whole bunch of Latinos doing acrobatics and athletics in the Olympics, right? You see a lot of black athletes in basketball, in football, American football, that is, in many other sports, so that the African American community and the Pan-African community has a lot of other sports. You may even see black athletes in baseball. They're everywhere, right? Black athletes are everywhere. You name the sport, a black athlete's in it. Track and field, black athlete. Right? But the only sport you're going to see a lot of Latinos in is you're going to see them in soccer and you're going to see them in boxing. And the reason is the culture is based around those two sports. Those two sports dominate Latino and Mexican life. Okay? Football, or what people know as soccer, and boxing. Okay? You don't see Latinos in any other sport. And so that's why they're so dedicated. They have a culture based around fighting, based around boxing. It's a machismo thing, and they truly love it. Okay, so there's the people who buy pay-per-view most of the time. The majority of people that buy pay-per-view are going to be Latinos, specifically Mexican Latinos, buy most of the American pay-per-view. But you'll get Puerto Rico Latinos. You'll get a lot of Latinos who will buy the pay-per-view because they love boxing. By the way, shout out to my Trinis. Shout out to Bill Haney on hailing the Trinis out there, because we are part of a demographic that's not really necessarily represented. We've had a couple world champions out there, but we do love our boxing, okay? Now, I say this to say that Subriel Matias is not wrong when he says that you need Latinos. You need them to be able to get good pay-per-view numbers, particularly. Ticket sales, not so much, because it depends on where you're having your fight. For example, if Shakur Stevenson is having his fight in Newark, oh my God. Hold on a second. In Newark, New Jersey, he knows the people of Newark, New Jersey, and he can get those people to come out and support him, right? Devin Haney had his fight in San Francisco, and he had his people come out and support him. And the figures that come out from the California State Athletic Commission, at least that's what what's his name, Dan Raphael was saying, was 13,000 people. About 13,000 people came out to support Devin Haney, which was more than the 8,000 that they expected to come. So this is why they opened up more seating. It wasn't 16,000 that came, but it's still equivalent to a sellout or more than they expected, right? They say that Devin Haney's pay-per-views, and let me show you his pay-per-views here. Now, this is just reportedly. We don't really know what the real numbers are. Devin Haney in his first pay-per-view, at least on American soil, against Vasily Lomachenko, did 150,000 pay-per-view buys, which is, in these times, it's all right. It's acceptable. These are low figures, but it's acceptable. It's his first pay-per-view on American soil. His second pay-per-view, which was against Regis Prograis, it did approximately 55,000 pay-per-view buys, which is not the greatest pay-per-view buys in the world. But again, this guy, Devin Haney, was facing Regis Prograis. All right. And Regis Prograis wasn't the guy that was on pay-per-view, one. Lomachenko had been on pay-per-view, but Regis Prograis hadn't been on pay-per-view. And two, Regis Prograis wasn't as well known as Vasily Lomachenko, right? He was the guy that was ducked and dodged and dodged and ducked. And the last fight Regis Prograis had was, I think, a year or so ago. So nobody really knew Regis like that. All right. But in addition, both Lomachenko and Prograis were not Mexican, or they weren't Latino. I think Haney's would have gotten bigger figures if they were Latino. So what Subriel Matias says about Devin Haney and Tank and all that they need Latinos to sell is just a fact. Okay, Subriel Matias is not wrong at all, and he's 100% correct. The thing about it is, if you look in boxing, there's a lot of representation of Latinos in boxing, thanks to Golden Boy, etc. And throughout history, throughout the culture of boxing, there's been a lot of Latinos because, as I said before, Latinos invest their time and energy into boxing. Their pastimes are soccer and boxing. Okay, that's what they do. Okay, now, so it's not surprising that professionally, this is where you see them most. Now, having said that, I want to show you a couple of things. But first, before I go to that, let's go back to Gervonta Davis. So why is it that Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia broke all limits? And what is Devin Haney trying to do with Ryan Garcia? Is he trying to do the same? Well, let me explain a couple of things. One, Davis and Ryan Garcia was a fight that had been brewing for years. Ryan Garcia had been calling out Gervonta Davis's name for years. Secondly, Ryan Garcia, though he's a Latino, was a guy that already had a great following on social media. Tremendous following. Okay? Even though Ryan Garcia never did pay-per-view before in his life, he was able to add to Gervonta Davis's pay-per-view and skyrocket him into the sky because Ryan Garcia is a guy that crossed over. By using social media, he crossed over, okay, into Ryan Garcia is known by casuals and by the general audience, okay? And he's going to continue doing his crossover appeal. He's going to continue to do record-breaking numbers. Even though he's behaving really weird for this fight, trust me, the pay-per-view is going to do very well. And I'm going to tell you why it's also going to do very well when I show you what the pay-per-view is. And that it's affordable to almost everybody can afford this pay-per-view. Kibo says, so why ain't the fight sold out? Well, we'll get to that. But first, let's get back to what we're talking about, which is Subriel Matias and his statements. But I just want to show you that Ryan Garcia's plateaued Gervonta Davis's stuff, it skyrocketed his stuff, because Ryan Garcia is just not just any Latino. He's a Latino who is calling out Gervonta Tank Davis. So this fight was brewing for a while. And two, Ryan Garcia had a great following outside of the Latino following. He's a part of pop culture. He got himself involved in pop culture and he made himself a big brand and a big star. And he's made a lot of money off of that fight. And Gervonta Tank Davis as well. So Tank needs another fighter like that. And though Tank has broken pay-per-view numbers, it was because of Ryan Garcia. And his next set of pay-per-view numbers, we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's get to so Devin Haney now is trying to take on Ryan Garcia. Now I want to show you something first of all. 2 months ago, March 1st, 2024, Devin Haney posted this: 10K tickets sold already. Now you have to ask yourself, how could he say that? I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons why Devin Haney could have said that. And remember, if I'm not mistaken, the the name of this thing. Could you guys just tell me what the name of the place where the fight will be held is called? Because I just blanked out and I don't remember the name of the place. So you guys just tell me what the name of the place is, all right? Don't forget to smash the like button. This like button is 3 dots on your right-hand side. So what the hell is the name of the place? Barclays, right. The Barclays Center. Thank you, Gibo. The Barclays Center holds, if I'm not mistaken, 18,000 people. The Barclays, the record, I think, in the Barclays right now is 14,000 something people tickets sold, right? I think Tank broke the record for the Barclays. It was once held by Danny Garcia, Puerto Rican. And you know the Puerto Ricans come out to support their Puerto Rican people in New York. So how did 10K tickets get sold March, but now they're struggling to fill the Barclays? I'm going to tell you. But trust me, tickets will be sold out. It won't make 18,000, but there'll be a good sized public in the Barclays for this fight. All right, I'll tell you why. Also, I suspect so. But the other thing I'm going to say is also that that not only is that a case that will happen, but also I think that pay-per-view wise, it's going to sell. I'm going to tell you why. Now, if you do recall, DAZN was selling this on pay-per-view for, I believe, $80. It has significantly dropped to $14.99 or $15. So if that's the case, where it's $15 for this fight, a lot of people are going to buy it because it's very affordable. It's very affordable. So the price has dropped. Okay? Which Ryan Garcia said it was going to drop, and there it is. It went from $80 to $15 you can buy it for. So that's cool. Now, so I think you're going to get a lot of pay-per-view buys, but even if you get a lot of pay-per-view buys, that doesn't mean you make a lot of pay-per-view revenue, because the price has been dropped. Now, let's get to another point. And the point is, how did this go from 10K tickets already sold to they can't sell out the Barclays and they're having difficulty selling it out? I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you why. The reason is Ryan Garcia's crazy behavior, and he's still continuing to behave crazy in fight week. He's behaving kind of, even in interviews, he's behaving crazy. And his crazy behavior is what's having people saying, do I really want to watch this fight? Do I really want to see this fight? Is Ryan Garcia even going to make it to the fight? Because a lot of people are still wondering, what the hell are we going to see when Ryan Garcia gets in that ring? And I'm going to tell you the truth. A lot of what Ryan Garcia is behaving now, his erratic behavior, is because he's afraid. He's afraid to get in that ring and get whooped by Devin Haney. He really is right now afraid. Mentally, he's not strong at all. He's saying what he's going to do and all of this, but he can't hold it together, and he's starting to break apart. The pressure's starting to hit him. And he told us he has mental issues with expectation and the pressure. So we got to see if he will make it into the ring and actually fight Devin Haney. That's the thing we got to see. Now, Derek James has been trying his best to work with Ryan, but Ryan is fighting a whole set of demons. And it's clear to us now, it's clear to everybody right now, Ryan is not where he should be mentally focused on this fight. He's not there. He's all over the place, but he's not there. And that's why I said, and I'm going to continue to say, Devin Haney's going to knock him out. He's going to knock Ryan out. Okay? So that's what that fight is going to be. But having said that, it's still going to be an exciting fight. Ryan's going to fight his ass off. But mentally, he's just not there. He's not there mentally. I can tell you that. Now, with respect to Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia, there's another reason why I think the tickets are not selling like they should. The other reason is Ryan Garcia got knocked out by Tank. When Ryan Garcia faced Tank Davis, he was undefeated. A lot of people felt this was a big step-up fight for him. A lot of people felt he wasn't ready for Tank Davis, but a lot of people still wanted to see the fight. Okay? In this case, Ryan Garcia is unraveling in front of our eyes. He's literally breaking down in front of our eyes. Okay? He is petrified of facing Devin Haney right now. And he's going to continue to get more and more unwound before we have the fight. The goal of Ryan Garcia, his family, his team, and Oscar De La Hoya is to get him to the finish line, to get him to actually fight Devin Haney. Okay? Derek James, everybody, they just want to see him get in the ring and fight Devin Haney. And remember, Arnold Barboza is there to jump in and finish what Ryan Garcia cannot finish. So the way how Ryan is behaving is why I believe a lot of people are losing confidence in Ryan being a threat to Devin Haney. It's kind of hard to pitch Ryan as a threat to Devin when Ryan's behaving the way he is. Ryan is behaving like he has never behaved before, and it looks like he's just unraveling. He's just breaking down. So mentally, he's breaking down before this fight even happens. And I think a lot of people are sensing that. And he's been knocked out by Tank. And he quit when he faced Tank. So all of these factors are reasons why people already sense, like the Latinos and everybody who's going to buy this fight, they don't see Ryan as a threat to Devin. And he's never sold himself as a threat to Devin. In fact, Ryan has not really talked about Devin much and fighting him and boxing. So I think this fight, people kind of know who's going to win. People just want to see the circus show. It's more of a circus show than it is an actual fight. And I think a lot of people are seeing through that. So this is the reason why I think this fight. Now, I don't know what the ticket sales are like now, okay? So I can't really say. But what I would tell you is Ryan's behavior literally sabotaged this fight. And you'll hear Chris Algieri say that. You'll hear there's another guy with Chris Algieri on another program. They said the same thing. And it's really about Ryan just getting to the finish line. If he can, let me say something about this, though. Because everybody feels Ryan's a quitter. Not only is he a quitter in fights, but they think he's a quitter and pulls out of fights. This is why everybody's like, we don't even know if he's going to make it to the fight. This whole narrative has become something of a circus. What's the matter with Ryan? What's the matter with Ryan is basically the storyline for this. For this fight. Oh my God. You know? So mentally, I don't think Ryan's there. He's just not there. And this is not a guy to be mentally, all over the place with. And I think a lot of people sense that. Okay? So, and Ryan's just been doing some crazy stuff. Troy Tate says, imagine if Ryan wins. Well, anything is possible in boxing, so that could be possible. But here's the funny thing. right now people are not buying that he will win. That's the problem. You know, Troy Tate. And it's good that you actually feel that way. The fact that you actually feel that way, I hope you go and watch the fight and support the fight because you feel that way. Because the majority of people don't feel that way. Understanding how boxing is, the majority of people don't feel that way. So, but I do believe for the spectacle and for the performance that Ryan is doing, his followers are going to come to the fight. And the other thing is Devin Haney's followers and people from his hometown of Oakland, if they can find the money, they're going to come. So you're going to have Devin Haney's people. Troy Tate says, I don't feel no kind of way. I'm just asking. Oh, God. So I think Devin Haney's people are going to come. And Ryan Garcia's people are going to come. Okay? I do not know what will happen with the pay-per-view buys. I think people like a spectacle. They like circuses. So I think the casuals might buy into it. So it might actually make money. But this is supposed to be a money grab, but apparently it's going wrong. I don't know. We'll see. But you know, anything is possible in boxing, so you never know what could happen. Ryan could probably go out there in the first round and knock out Devin Haney. You never know. That would be the upset of the century. But barring that, it's more of a circus show than it is a fighting match, you know. And I think people have been knee-jerked along just way too much. You know, Rolly Romero has been a clown. Teofimo Lopez has been a clown. Ryan Garcia is now playing the role of a clown, obviously. And people don't like it, okay? Especially Mexican fans. Mexican fans are like, machismo, mono, mono. They don't even call Ryan La Raza. They don't think that Ryan represents them. You know what I mean? So it's that bad. You know, they're calling Devin Haney La Raza instead of Ryan, and that's not good. So, like I said before, your major audience is going to be Latino. And if the Latinos don't think that Ryan really is showing that he's serious about this fight, they're not going to buy it. So there's all of that. Now, with respect to the venue and all of that, I think the venue's cool. I think it's just how Ryan's behaving. He's kind of sabotaged this fight. And he's done it multiple different ways. But what I want to show you guys is this. I want to show you something else. I want to show you that what Matias has been saying, Subriel Matias has been saying, is true. But it doesn't mean that if somebody carries, for example, a city on their back, what meaning, if, and this is the key to how these fights can actually make money. It's like Errol Spence started carrying Texas on his back, and he started fighting in Texas. And as a result of that, you know, they made money. Devin Haney has people that support him in the Bay. If a good amount of those Bay people come out following him, and if Ryan Garcia's followers come out following him, they'll do a decent gate, for sure. In fact, they'll do a really good gate. When it comes to pay-per-views, though, the pay-per-view buys will not be dependent on their followers per se. Ryan has a decent amount of followers who will probably pay for the pay-per-view. There'll be a couple casuals, because they know Ryan, who will pay for the pay-per-view. Of course, the celebrities and so on will also help with that venture. I'm not sure what the pay-per-view will be, to be honest with you, okay? Ryan has behaved so strange that he could attract strange people, conspiracy theorists and all these people. They could get attracted to this and buy pay-per-view. This is why I thought Ryan was kind of brilliant, was because of that. So you can have people outside of the normal scheme of things just intrigued with this fight because of Ryan. Okay, so Ryan's kind of made himself the center of attention, and we're going to see what the final figures and numbers are. But I think this is one of those things where Devin is facing a Latino, even though he's not accepted and recognized as a Latino by Latinos. He's just representative of them in terms of fighting, even though he's explosive and he's spectacular. Ryan's a kind of outlier where Ryan actually is interesting. And we will just see how this whole thing pans out, because Ryan's kind of borrowing a page from Adrian Broner's book, Jake Paul's book, Rolly Romero's book, these kinds of guys. All right, Teofimo Lopez, kind of eccentric, kind of seemingly out of balance Tyson Fury's book. It's that kind of persona that we're seeing in the sport of boxing. I was just watching Jaleel Hackett, and Jaleel Hackett's like, man, these guys are moving so weird now. They're moving real weird. And he's right. And these people gross a whole bunch of money just being weird and just running their mouth. And it's kind of amazing, to be honest with you, because, you know, Ryan has earned a tremendous sum of money by just talking his way into a fight. You know, he really didn't prove himself yet. He wasn't ready for that fight. And right now, he's not ready for this fight. I'm telling you right now. Mentally, he's not ready. You know, and there's no such thing as luck in boxing when you know how to do what you do. There's no such thing as luck. You're either prepared or you're not prepared. You're either better prepared than the other guy or you're not better prepared than the other guy. And so that's just what I got to say about that. So I'm not disagreeing with what Subriel Matias said. You have a dedicated Latino community. If you can get your hands on them, you do very well, you know, and that's why I think also that David Benavidez versus Alexander Gvozdyk, and then Edwin De Los Santos versus Raul Valenzuela, those two fights on the Tank versus Frank Martin card are going to draw a whole set of Latinos to watch the main event because of the card. And then Tank fights kind of like how Latinos like to see a guy fight. Latinos like to see machismo. They like to see you take the fight to a guy, right? So that card is probably going to do well. I don't know how well it will do, but it will do well because the main event is not the best event of that card. The best event of that card, I'm going to say it again, hands down, it's going to be Edwin De Los Santos versus Raul Valenzuela. And it needs to be the co-main event, not David Benavidez versus Gvozdyk. It needs to be Edwin De Los Santos versus Raul Valenzuela. It's Juneteenth. Put a black guy in there. Don't put no white guy. Don't put no Mexican. I know I'm sounding racist, but I mean it. That's gonna be the hell. That's gonna be the fireworks right there. Now, with respect to Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia, have I seen the undercard? I haven't seen the undercard actually. If you guys know what the undercard is, Troy Tate says, I think Ryan may have a legitimate mental illness. Oh yeah, most definitely. He has mental illness. He said he struggles with it. He has a lot of anxiety problems, and that's why he's trying to stay chill and mellow. He's the pressure is on him. He can't handle the pressure. He loves boxing, but not to that extent where that pressure's on him. It's pressure on him to deliver. But that's how it was with everybody. But he's breaking under it. He's breaking under the pressure. That's what you're seeing. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And he's trying to hold it together. And you just can't do that, Troy Tate. You just can't do that. This is a competitive sport. I mean, once a guy sees weakness, he smells blood, he's going for the kill. And Devin, that's why I think Devin's going to knock out Ryan, actually. It's not because Ryan doesn't have the ability and the tools to really, do real well in a fight like that. And he knows Devin Haney. But it's that Ryan knows he's not ready for Devin. He knows he's not ready for Devin. And he's fighting against himself to make it to the finish line. He's saying, oh, people are doubting me. People are feeling that I'm not going to make it. People think I'm a joke. And he's just like, I got to prove myself. I got to prove I'm a real boxer. I got to prove myself. So he's really fighting against his own self. Because it's a huge leap for Ryan. Tank was a huge leap for Ryan, and this is a huge leap for Ryan. And, he took it. I mean, I gotta listen, I'm going to say this. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Ryan is a freaking beast. Now, let me explain what I mean. He's fighting an internal struggle that 99% of the people in the world would not come through. And he is determined to make it to the finish line, in spite right now of his flaws, mentally and otherwise, his lack of focus and all of that. He is determined to make it to the finish line, to deliver this fight for the fans. Hell or high water. And that takes balls. Frickin' balls. Okay? And when Devin Haney's finished fighting Ryan Garcia, he's going to have to thank him for giving him the opportunity to showcase his skills. He cannot disrespect Ryan at the end of the fight. He needs to give that guy his props for taking this fight. Because trust me, all those killers out there, Tank didn't take the fucking fight. Tank was supposed to face Haney next. Tank didn't take the fight. He's the guy that beat Ryan. Subriel Matias is a bad boy. Subriel Matias don't want to come near a 10-foot pole of Devin Haney. Right? And you got to understand, it's not that they're afraid of taking physical damage from Devin Haney. They're afraid of being exposed to the entire world. Devin Haney exposes them as looking like amateurs when he fights them. It's that. Boxers will fight anybody, like they say. But the man's livelihood is on the line, where you could mess up how I get to eat. You could make the fans trash me after you beat me. That's what they're afraid of. They're not afraid of... Ryan Garcia is not afraid of Devin Haney beating him or even stopping him or anything like that. He's afraid of the pressure is put on him to deliver what he said. He got to back up what you say. Look, Richardson Hitchens talk all that smack, and he got his ass whooped by Gustavo Lemos. That's the greatest nightmare for any boxer. You think Richardson Hitchens is going to tell Gustavo Lemos, let's run it back? He never going to do that. Tank Davis. You see, it's who you are, what you're made of. And that's the difference between them, imitation Floyd Mayweather's, and Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, when he realized Marcos Maidana gave him a good fight, he said, run it back. One time. Anthony Joshua, after being knocked out, stopped by Andy Ruiz, what'd he say? I'm running it back. A real champ don't play, right? Errol Spence, when he got beat by Terrence Crawford, he said, I'm running it back. But then he showed that he was fake, because he ain't running nothing. He ain't running shit back. He don't want to get beat up again, right? So it's not in his... You don't hear Errol Spence talking about running it back with Terrence Crawford. Instead, he jumps in the ring to face Sebastian Fundora. So let me tell y'all something. If y'all don't realize that Ryan Garcia is doing something... Let me say, I got to give him mad props for this. He doing something that even he, every bone in his body and every fiber in his body saying, hell no, I shouldn't do this. And he's mentally plowing through that. I'm saying, I'm doing it. I'm going to do well. And I'm going to beat him. This is what he's fighting against. He's fighting against his own self right now. He a dog. He don't have the skills to match, but his mental, he may not be all there. He might even be breaking apart, but he's a dog. Mentally, he's a beast. Because you're going against your own self. That's a battle. Your worst enemy is your own self, if you don't know. So he's fighting an internal battle, like all these, if you ever watch anime and all these things where people are fighting a battle within themselves, this is what he's doing right now. And if he wins, if he delivers this fight, whether he gets knocked out Whether, he puts up a good fight and then maybe loses, whether he wins, this brother is a dog, and y'all got to give him props for that. Okay? DRH says Usyk will beat Fury. You heard it here first. Get your money on it. Now, I said that before you, bro. I said that a long time ago. I already know. Alexander Usyk's going to beat Fury. Bivol's going to beat Artur Beterbiev. Even though, what's the guy's name? I can't remember his name right now. That dude started turning on me, and I'm promoting this guy, and this guy turned on me. I'm like, man, black people, why are we always hating on each other? This dude just suddenly started to attack me. I'm the one promoting this channel, and he started attacking me. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a good thing I don't remember his name right now. And I sent a whole bunch of you guys across there to listen to him. And he be giving his opinion, and now he's trying to attack other people who have different opinions to him. It is what it is. It's cool. I try to show some love, though. Troy Tate says, yes, exactly. Ryan has nothing to lose. It's possible Haney has a bad night or takes him lightly. Haney having a bad night, that could possibly happen. But Haney taking him lightly? Absolutely not. That ain't happening. But Haney could have a bad. Anything's possible in boxing. Anything can happen in boxing. We saw Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu definitely was going to beat Sebastian Fundora, and then he ran his head into Fundora's elbow. Anything can happen in boxing. Troy Tate says, is Fury washed? No. Usyk just got his number. Usyk got his number. And y'all gonna see it. Usyk got his number. And I put money on that. Usyk's gonna beat him. That's what I think. I think Bivol's gonna beat Artur Beterbiev. I don't think Beterbiev's on Bivol's level. Whatever the guy's name who was trying to call me out and stuff, I'm staying with what I said, and I'm not changing my mind. Devin Haney's gonna beat Ryan Garcia. I'm not changing my mind on that. Tank is gonna beat Frank Martin. I'm not changing my mind on that either. Frank Martin need to tighten up his defense big time. Tighten up your defense big time. He got a good jab though, but he had to tighten up his defense big time. You getting hit to the body too easy, man. Too easy, man. Man who ain't got no skill be hitting you to the body. So Frank Martin, he's tough. I'm not saying Martin's not tough, but you can't be giving Tank free body shots like that. Tank he gonna get you out of there. He gonna break you down and get you out of there. You know what I mean? You can't be doing that with Gervonta Tank Davis. It's just what it is. Right. So basically, we are in a circus with Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. We didn't expect that, but that's what we're getting. And so, that's why you're seeing what you're seeing. I don't think it's Devin Haney necessarily can't sell. He now started pay-per-view. Kambosos did very well when he fought Kambosos in Australia. Kambosos ain't worried about pay-per-view numbers and that stuff. It's sold in Australia. So Devin Haney, I think, just needs the right dance partner. I want to say one more thing about Tank. Canelo versus Munguia gonna make money. They're two Mexicans. That's gonna make some money. Think about this now, ladies and gentlemen. One of the highest anticipated fights in boxing right now is Gervonta Tank Davis versus Devin Haney. Now think about what I'm saying before you talk. Davis versus Garcia. Garcia here had never sold a pay-per-view. And Garcia ends up with Davis doing record-breaking numbers for the year 2023, right? By the way, it was also April 22nd, 23. So look at the date. That's when Ryan fights. It was on the date that Ryan was fighting. And notice, the fight with Ryan this time is going to be April 20th, 2023. All right. My point being, if Gervonta Tank Davis faces Devin Haney, because it's a highly anticipated fight that everybody wants. Now, all these other fights here that Davis had for pay-per-views, Santa Cruz, Barrios, Romero, Garcia, Nobody wanted Tank to face those guys. Right? Nobody wanted. Romero talked his way into the fight. But when Tank faced somebody that people wanted, look at that. I'm saying this to say this. Tank versus Martin is not going to do these numbers here. Going to do less than this. Why? You can stack the card how much you want. If it's not a fight that the fans want to see, you ain't going to make that money that you're looking for. Okay? It got to be a fight that people want to see. The fans have said they wanted to see Gervonta Tank Davis versus Devin the Dream Haney. Now, I'm going to bring something to you guys' attention from the past. And I'm going to actually show you the facts, because I like to show things to people, because people, they're going to say, oh, you just talking, man, what you need. You just talking. So I'm not going to just talk. I'm typing it out so you guys can see in front of your face. Errol Spence. Errol Spence Jr. Hold on a second. All right. Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Bud Crawford. Pay-per-view buys. I'm going to show you guys some. 700,000 pay-per-view buys. Right? Now, my boy Subriel Matias would say, Terrence Crawford wasn't a Latino. Well, let's see. Errol Spence Jr. versus Mikey Garcia is a Latino. Mikey Garcia is a Latino. 360,000 pay-per-view buys. Sean Porter is not a Latino. 350,000 pay-per-view buys. These are all high numbers, by the way. This man is not a pay-per-view star yet. Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia, another Latino. 250,000 pay-per-view buys. Errol Spence versus Yordenis Ugas, another Latino. 250,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, 700,000 pay-per-view buys. I want to show you something. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, here we are. No, I don't want that. God damn it. I hate when these stupid things do that. All right. Hold on a second, people. I want to show you something. Let me show you something. Because a lot of people don't have a sense of history. You know? I wanted to show you something. Terrence Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford. Crawford versus Bastow. Terrence Crawford versus Victor Bastow. 50,000 pay-per-view buys. Terrence Crawford versus Amir Khan. 150,000 pay-per-view buys. Notice none of these people are Latino. Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter. 135,000 to pay-per-view buys. What do you notice about Terrence Crawford and Devin Haney? And I want to say a couple things about Terrence Crawford and Devin Haney, by the way. According to y'all, they don't sell pay-per-view. Right? They don't sell pay-per-view. Why does Crawford need to face Errol Spence? Errol Spence doing 350,000 pay-per-view buys, right? Errol Spence is the pay-per-view draw, right? Errol Spence, look here, people. Looky here, people. Errol Spence is doing 360,000 pay-per-view buys. He's doing 350,000, 250,000, 250,000 pay-per-view buys, right? So Terrence Crawford, he ain't supposed to make nothing against Errol because he's not a draw, right? Just like how Devin Haney's not a draw to face Tank, right? But no, that's not the case. When we look, Spence versus Crawford does 700,000 pay-per-view buys, the highest amount of pay-per-view buys that Spence Jr. has ever had in his career. So, when y'all say Devin Haney's not a draw, you're doing the same narrative as when they all said Terrence Crawford's not a draw. That is no reason for Devin Haney not to face Gervonta Tank Davis. Because if it's a fight that the people want to see, it will do well on pay-per-view. It just got to be a fight that the people want to see. And the longer you brew it, is the more money you'll make from it if both fighters stay undefeated. I'm going to tell you why Devin Haney versus Tank, but Devin Haney got to get past Ryan Garcia first. Okay? I'm going to tell you why Devin Haney versus Tank will be the highest grossing pay-per-view of Tank's career. Yeah, Troy Tate, he has to take care of business against Ryan. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. While Subriel Matias' point about fighting against, I want to make another point here. As y'all know, what you need always give you something, right? I don't just talk out my ass, right? But I want to show you another thing here. Is it not true that Errol Spence faced Latino? He faced 3 Latinos. But that's not what gave him his biggest payday. His biggest payday was against an Afro-American like himself. Well, Subriel Matias is going to say, well, look at the undercard, and let's see if there's Latinos for the co-main event. Let's do that. Let's do that. See, people don't come to fights. People don't go to see the co-main event. They go to see the event. Right? If it so happens you got good co-main event, but if the card was about the co-main event, guess what? What would come in the headlines first? The co-main event. Then it would have the event, right? But as you can see, the title of the card is the main event for a reason. Right? But anyway, let's go to Subriel Matias was saying, that, even on the cards where you got people who are not Latino, the co-main event or the undercard has Latinos. Okay, let's just have a look at it. Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Let's look. I don't know. I didn't check it out, so I'm going to check it out in real time with you guys. We can go to BoxRec, I believe, and it will give us the event. So let's go to BoxRec here. I find it on BoxRec. Okay, here we are. So we in BoxRec. Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Here's the event. Okay. All right. So the co-main event of that event was Isaac Cruz versus Giovanni Cabrera. Giovanni Cabrera is obviously Latino, but Italian, but Isaac Cruz is Latino. In fact, he is Mexican. And he was the co-main event. And if that ain't enough, then you had Nonito Donaire versus Alejandro Santiago. And you got a whole bunch of Latinos down below. Let me see. What else we got here? Okay, I don't know if Yaunis Teles, but I know Sergio Garcia's Latino, right? It's Steven Nelson versus Howdy Legend Montgomery. All right. Then you had Jose Salas Reyes, that's another Latino, versus Ashton Palit. I think Ashton's a black guy, if I'm not mistaken. And he's a good fighter, I think. You got another Latino here. And Latinos galore. So he's right. To hold up the card, you got a whole bunch of Latinos. All right. So he got a point. Subriel Matias has got a point. There's no avoiding it. The most dedicated fans of boxing these days are the Latinos. It's just what it is. The white people, not so much, and the people of Pan-African or the Black American public, not so much, right? Don't get me wrong. Like I said before, a person's city or town will support them. All right. So don't get it twisted. The Black American public does support boxing, and they do pay for boxing. Don't get it twisted. But if you look at it, the more loyal fan base is the Latinos. So Subriel Matias is right about that. But what he's not right about is big fights don't just come as a result of the Latinos simply and blindly supporting a fight. It has to be a fight in which the entire boxing public wants, not just the Latinos, the entire boxing. Now, the Latinos, they pay for their fights. They pay. That's why we're saying they're dedicated and loyal, because they'll pay for fights. Okay? They'll find a way and they'll pay for fights. But the other demographics, whether it's the whites or the blacks or the, they're not as committed because they have representation in other sports. You got me? That makes sense? So that's what I'm talking about. Now, with respect to, as I was saying before, so you see that trend, Devin Haney and Terrence Crawford have a lot in common. Devin Haney's coming into his power now at 140. Same thing with Terrence Crawford. Okay, so what you're seeing with Devin Haney is sort of, and Devin Haney has about similar dimensions to Terrence Crawford as well. He's 5'9" with a 72-inch arm reach. So Devin Haney and Terrence Crawford, I think Terrence Crawford has a 74-inch arm reach. So there's a lot in common with these two guys and how they're developing. Devin's just doing it at a much younger age. Terrence is doing it at an older age. Unfortunately for Terrence. So when a lot of people are talking about certain things about Devin, you got to understand, all right? This is not new. We've seen this with Terrence Crawford as well. All right. Now, with respect to one more thing, and I'm going, guys. I was trying to give y'all as much information as I possibly can, make it as rich as possible for you guys. So let me explain one more thing for you guys, and then I'm out of here. All right, I'm out of here. Show some love, people. Smash that like button. It's in the 3 dots in the corner. Smash the like button. Show some love. You get information, at least show some love back. But then again, you never know with these people. People's haters out here, so it is what it is. I asked y'all to show some. Oh, by the way, don't forget you can like, subscribe, and share. Particularly, you can donate to this channel via PayPal. I do not have Cash App. I do not have the little thing where you can click and do your comment and give your pay pledge or whatever. I don't have that feature here because I live in the part of the world. It's Trinidad. I'm a Trini. I live in the part of the world where YouTube and Google do not assist me in that wise. Okay, so I'm just letting y'all know. Y'all want to, you click the link, which is found in the description if you want to donate to this channel. I'm doing just like any other channel out there. They have Cash Apps, or they have whatever, and they tell you, they tell you stuff in the beginning, or they have it posted up on the side of their thing. I'm doing just like everybody else. So when somebody, yes, Troy Tate, what? Troy Tate know what it is. Yes, homie, I'm Trinity to the bone. That's right, my brother. So yeah, so if you want to donate to this channel, that's what you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Now, with respect to by the way, let me just say, because I don't say it often, to the people who have been donating to my channel, I thank you and I appreciate your donations. By the way, you guys, and y'all know what you need to say, what you have to say. He don't care, about what other people think, and I ain't obligated to nobody to create any other narrator. So what you're going to try and tell you. But what I'm trying to do from here on in is give you facts. So you all don't just think I'm talking out of my ass like a lot of people think I am. And, people like, I don't want to mention names because their names don't deserve to be in my mouth, how some people move. And it's sad when I see my people, and when I say my people, I mean black people like myself, hating on their own race. And they don't even understand that they're doing that. And they get jealous because homeboy here be doing things. Instead of you being inspired. I'm inspired by MillCity. I'm inspired by Aki Sports TV. You think I'll be asking myself, how does this guy get all these views? And I say to myself, I know how. I know how he did it. I understand and I respect him. And you will always hear me referring to the following people. You will hear me, and it's not, everybody supports their own race, so I'm going to support my race as well. My race is black people, right? It doesn't mean I'm racist. I do love all other races, but I'm going to support mine because we need to have a black culture out here. Because without the black culture, I'm going to explain what I mean. For those of you who are not black, it's okay. But I got to explain it to you anyway. White people have their own culture. Asians have their own culture. So why can't we as black people be proud to have our own culture and work with each other and network with each other? Everybody else is doing it. And when we don't do it, we actually keep back everybody else. The society actually becomes drained. The society actually gets affected negatively when we don't develop our own culture. It's not racist to do that. It's not bad to support a black brother and say, and link up a brother to another brother. There's nothing wrong with that. All other races do it. We are the only race of people who don't do it consistently and systematically. And it does not help society when we don't do that. It actually puts a burden on society. So it's very important that we, as a Pan-African or a black community, support one another. I'm not saying, and the problem with us is we're so built in the slave mentality that we're quick to crack the whip on each other. We do master's job. Like if we still in the 1800s and the 1600s and the 1500s, we're not there anymore. The year is 2024. We got to get our shit together, black people. We got to get our shit together. We really do. Stop hating on each other. Stop trying to pull each other down. Try and build each other up. It's 2024. We got to get our shit together. Everybody else get their shit together. So we could do it too. So that's all I'm saying. Now, with respect to, and we will, we have to. We have to, because we have a lot to offer, but we have to be coordinated so we can offer it. You can't be doing this one man is an island bullshit and crabs in a barrel bullshit. We have to become coordinated like everybody else. Yes, we're running last place in the race, and everybody likes to beat on our heads, and we're like the scapegoat for everything, and every negativity you can think about, they hit us with. But if we as a collective start treating our own and loving our own and loving ourselves, in spite of the bullshit that we do to each other, and we get some coordination going, they'll stop doing that. They will respect us. They'll stop doing that. Hey, they got smart. They got smart. Ooh, we got competition now. And that would be good. Okay? Again, no disrespect to nobody. But if I say that I'm here to support my black African descendant people, then that's what I'm going to do. Okay? Because we do need to help each other. We need to dig each other out of the holes, and we need to push each other forward. We need to. And I know there's a lot of people are people, so people will cheat, lie, steal, try to tear you down. That's the thing. People in general, that's a human condition. But that doesn't mean we can't coordinate with each other. We can't start working together with each other when we could do it. Everybody else is doing it. They're human beings just like us. We could do it too. And I just wanted to say that to my black brothers and sisters. I love you. I love y'all. I love all of y'all, even y'all that mistreat me. I love all of y'all. Okay? And I only say it to you guys because we got to get it together. We really do. We do. I got nothing but love for y'all. Okay? Everybody else getting it together. So we got to get it together. And we can and we will. Okay? So we're the only people keeping ourselves back now. We can't. I understand all the stories and everything, but even with the stories and everything, if we all speaking with the same voice, we're going to get what we need to get because we'll be a collective. Ain't nobody going to just listen to one person, one voice. We need to have a collective voice. We need to collectively help each other. There is absolutely nothing wrong with helping somebody from a similar background or from a similar race as yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. So let's stop harboring guilt for that. Oh, I feel I'm racist because I'm helping a black man like myself. You're not racist. Okay? Everybody else does it. Asians help Asians. Well, particularly people from the same nation. Mexicans help Mexicans. Everybody helps everybody of their own background and culture, but we can't do that? Come on, black people. We bigger than that. Let's stop the Willie Lynch syndrome. Let's stop the crabs in the barrel syndrome. And let's move forward and make some money. All right, so I say all of this to say that my boy Subriel Matias is right about Latinos being a significant portion. They're a significant demographic in boxing today. You cannot break I don't think you can break $1 million or make a million pay-per-view buys, without them today. However, having said that, it still comes down to the original principle, which is it's the best facing the best. And not only the best facing the best, but the most demanded fights by the boxing community. The boxing community gets salivating about something, you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention because those are the big fights. Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev are not Mexicans. Beterbiev is not a Mexican. Bivol is not a Mexican. That fight may not make tremendous money, but I'm telling you, it's the biggest fight at 175. It's the biggest fight, hands down, at 175. Is it a pay-per-view event? I said throw pay-per-view in there because I seen lesser get pay-per-view. Is it well known? Absolutely not. So you're going to have to advertise like hell. But that's the biggest fight at 175. Let's talk divisions. What's the biggest fight at heavyweight right now? Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. Period. No bigger fight. That's the pinnacle. That is the ultimate fight at heavyweight. Nothing else is bigger, right? What's the biggest fight at super middleweight? Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez. It's been brewing for years. It's the biggest fight at super middleweight. It's just what it is. Every fan will tell you that. What's the biggest fight at super welterweight? Well, since he's not there right now, it would have been Jamel Charlo versus Terrence Crawford. It would have been had Jamel Charlo been still boxing, but he's not there. So there is no biggest fight at 154, because 154 right now is broken up. It would have been probably Tim Tszyu versus Terrence Crawford, but Tim Tszyu lost to Sebastian Fundora. So what's the biggest fight at welterweight? Well, you're going to hear his name again. Terrence Crawford versus Jerome Ennis. It don't need to be at welterweight, but if it's at welterweight, it's for undisputed, so that's why. But that's the biggest fight at welterweight. What's the biggest fight at super lightweight? Believe it or not, it involves a guy that's campaigning right now at lightweight and a guy who's at lightweight. It is Gervonta Tank Davis versus Devin Haney. It's the biggest fight. And none of them, neither Davis nor Haney, are Latino. Jerome Ennis and Terrence Crawford are not Latino. Right? Bivol and Beterbiev are not Latino. Usyk and Tyson Fury are not Latino. But they're big fights. Right? They're big fights. What is the biggest fight at super featherweight right now? Right? What's the biggest fight at lightweight right now? Everybody knows it. It's Gervonta Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. People will say, no, it's Gervonta Tank Davis versus Navarrete. No. It's Tank versus Shakur. Why? Because it's brewing. It's been brewing for a while, and the boxing public want the best versus the best, and they think that's the best fight out there at lightweight. It doesn't matter that Shakur has never been on pay-per-view. It's about the demand for the fight. And that is what makes boxing great. And that's what Mexicans, that's what Latinos want. And because they're the major demographic, which is what a lot of people are not understanding, they understand boxing to the point where they know what they want to buy. Because they're the major purchasers of boxing. I'm not saying that the black community doesn't have a significant portion that purchase into boxing. There's a significant amount of black people that do, about, at least they cater for at least between 200 to 350K pay-per-view buys is probably the black community. But to get past that million pay-per-view buy mark, you need Latinos, baby. You got to know your demographics. Latinos, baby. So Subriel Matias is not wrong a lot of the times. But the caveat is it's also about the expectation by the boxing public. If they anticipate or they're looking forward to certain fights, you give them those fights. And those fights will make money. All right? It don't matter that they're Latino. It doesn't matter what the demographic is. The boxing public kind of drives boxing. The non-paying and the paying boxing public kind of drive, because that's where you get the buzz from. The buzz starts inside boxing, and then it goes out to the general audience. Just like how fandom in comic book movies, it starts in the fandom. When the fandom gets excited, that excitement generates outward to the general public. If the fandom is not excited, the general public generally will not be excited. It's what it is. All right. So I hope you guys were blessed by what I just shared with you guys on boxing. You guys have a good night. I am what you need from Trinidad and Tobago. If you guys, again, want to support this channel, feel free to donate via PayPal. The link is in the description. You guys have a blessed night now. Have a good one.